Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Movies Recap. Nick Wilde is a recovering gambling addict who takes odd jobs as a chaperone in Las Vegas. One of the odd occupations is that of a rich mama's son who has relationship troubles with a woman who is out of his league. He prepares a phony incident and then lets the client reveal his masculine side so that his girl falls in love with her brave guy all over again. Next morning, Nick makes his way to his office. There, he is contacted by a young man named Cyrus, who is in need of protection. He is a considerable gambler, and although Nick is apprehensive at first, he agrees to undertake the assignment, as there is a lot of money at stake. He drives to a diner, where he is accosted by the man he assisted yesterday. Thrilled, he says Nick's idea worked brilliantly and offers him his cash plus an extra $500. Nick is thrilled for him, but doesn't accept the additional. It's always a joy doing business with Nick. While in the diner, making himself a true man's drink, his pal waitress hands him a message from a woman he knows, asking him to stop by her apartment. Holly, a professional escort who has been battered to a pulp, hugs Nick. When he wonders who did this to her, she has no clue. After her date last night, she entered an elevator with 3 men, one of which was a young man in charge. They pulled her to their suite under the pretense of a party. Then, humiliated, forced on, and viciously beat her, they dumped her out in the driveway of a hospital. Holly urges Nick to find out who they are so she can sue them. Nick explains that he is not a detective, and it is virtually impossible to find people in Las Vegas, especially at the Golden Nugget Hotel, which he had told her to stay away from. He refuses to aid her. Still having a terrible aftertaste from the whole event, he goes to the Golden Nugget to see what he can dig up. He is a man with many friends. A housekeeper who works there is one of them, whom he asks for some information about the occurrence. He meets her later at the cafe, and Nick discovers that the man guilty for assaulting Holly is Danny DeMarco, the son of a gangster, which is why he is constantly escorted by 2 strong boys. She cautions Nick that DeMarco is danger and he should keep away from him. Nick contacts Holly and informs her he has not uncovered any information about her assailants, but she quickly confronts him about his falsehoods, adding to the account of how DeMarco humiliated her even more. She knows how to pressure Nick into doing what she wants him to do, and he believes he has no choice left. That evening, Nick picks up Cyrus and shows him Las Vegas and all the exquisite casinos there are, until they settle on a shabby casino. Nick points out $100 tables to him, but Cyrus prefers $10 ones since he thinks the pleasure lasts longer that way. This is the peak of Nick's job, guarding a boy who stakes $10 on a toss of the dice. Disappointed, Nick is convinced no one will rob Cyrus and leaves him to his own devices. Nick sees Holly and tells her about DeMarco and his whereabouts, but refuses to help anymore. He is outraged that she is lying about her intentions to sue DeMarco. What she truly wants is his nuts in her hands, even if that means putting Nick in a fatal predicament. He certainly is a sucker when it comes to nice talk from her. Nick goes to the hotel to confront DeMarco disguised as someone sent by baby Las Vegas mafia boss. He wants to fix the whole matter with him, peacefully saying that he is Holly's pimp. DeMarco even offers $50K for his troubles, but nothing is actually that straightforward. He starts demeaning Nick, forcing him to address him as sir and tell him about his nice characteristics and maybe he would be permitted to survive. Nick states he is an honest worker and even gives him his card. DeMarco, being a good man, tells his thugs to rough him up a bit, and that's when Nick gives up on the peaceful solution. He fractures one thug's knee and slices the other's forehead with a card, then beats him up some more. Afterwards, DeMarco shoots at Nick, but once again the card comes into play, knocking him unconscious. When DeMarco regains consciousness, he and his thugs are tied up and Holly is there to see him. She reminds him of her, and this time she's come to the party prepared. DeMarco, previously calm and controlled, is now on the point of tears. He informs her about the money and she tosses Nick the stack. But for her, it's not about the money. She gives him the same treatment he gave her. She wants to hear that he loves her, and if she doesn't believe it, little DeMarco is going off. Holly considers castrating DeMarco, who breaks down and begs her forgiveness. Instead, she decides to take the money and leave. Before we continue on, like the video, press the subscribe button and switch on that notification bell to join our expendable squad. Outside, Nick proposes she leave town, as he should too, since Nick took the risk and Holly suffered the pounding. They split the money and go their separate ways. With all much money in front of him, Nick can only do one thing: go straight to the casino to fuel his gambling addiction. He sits down at a blackjack table and starts with a little amount of $5. To try his luck, Johnny hits a 19 and gets a 2. Either way, it's his last night in Vegas, so he instantly exchanges $1,000 for 1 chip. Quickly, he has 2, then 4, then 8,000. Each time he wins, he doubles his stake. Unfortunately, the dealer's shift is done, so he packs up his chips and gets a drink. At the bar, he sees Cyrus. He feels he got lucky with the dealer, but suddenly an odd realization hits him. How can he know luck is gone if he never tested it? He comes back and is once again on a roll with many hands and starts playing the whole table with maximum bets. Cyrus is there, silently cheering him on. Now with a big chip stack, Johnny wins his last hand and has reached a milestone of 506 grand, a nice point to resign. He tells Cyrus about his plans to flee the nation and live the life of his desires with this money. Nick even feels kind and tips a waitress 6,000. But on his approach to the cashier, Nick suddenly experiences an anxiety attack. He tells Cyrus that 500k is excellent, but to never end up here again. He needs more, so Nick chooses to keep on gambling. He stakes the 500,000 as well as his original $25,000. On a single hand of blackjack, he gets a 17 against the dealer's 10. Just like in the beginning, he decides to hit, hoping for a 4. Unfortunately, it's a bust for him. And to add salt to the wound, the dealer had 16 and Nick would have won if he had played by the book. He loses everything. Nick tucks it aside, as any gambler would. I got here with 25 grand, lost 25 grand, not a huge issue. It really stings afterwards. He loses his composure in the restroom and gets drunk until he passes out. The next morning, Cyrus shows himself to be a self-made millionaire and wants Nick to educate him to be fearless. He has gone to Las Vegas to meet him under the pretense of requiring Nick as a bodyguard to grow closer to him. Cyrus can help him with the money if Nick can guide him not to be terrified of life. But Nick refuses, explaining that yesterday he was affluent and today he is here again. Money cannot assist him and he will rot in this shithole. He goes back to the casino bar when 2 of DeMarco's men arrive to take him to their boss. He has a flash memory of losing everything yesterday and channels his wrath into demolishing the 2 of them. In seconds, other goons creep out, but that doesn't faze him in the least. He fends them all off until the cops arrive. Nick meets with Baby, the Las Vegas mob boss. Baby has received a complaint from DeMarco, who alleges Nick came into his hotel room, pistol whipped him and killed 2 of his men, all to fuel his gambling addiction. Baby brings Nick to a room with DeMarco, where Nick explains his version of the tale that DeMarco killed his own men as he left the hotel. And to show it, he states that DeMarco has a cut on his small pecker. Baby encourages DeMarco to remove his pants to prove Nick wrong, but he refuses on principle. Both Nick and Baby bust out laughing and DeMarco leaves in a huff. It turns out that Baby and Nick are extremely good friends, but he can't help Nick with what's coming up. DeMarco will come for him. He goes back to his favorite diner. Cyrus joins him and tells him he's leaving, but not before thanking him for what Nick taught him, that everyone in the world is terrified of something. Nick is equally as afraid and an asshole. To thank him, Cyrus hands him a check for $500,000 and a plane ticket to Corsica, but he still appears dissatisfied, the reason being he's going to be murdered at any moment. DeMarco and his men show up at the diner, and it seems like this is the end for him, but suddenly Cyrus exhibits his newfound manliness by singing loudly to distract DeMarco and allow Nick to escape. This works perfectly. They hurry after him, and DeMarco proclaims that he's going to turn the whole town upside down to get Nick, who is up on the roof. Armed with utensils, Nick covers his ears and imagines his dream existence. But for that, he needs to have a peace of mind first. He starts stabbing them with his cutlery, and having weapons doesn't do them any good. When all the thugs are dead, only he and DeMarco are left to flex on him. He lets him land a couple punches before finishing him out. And afterwards, Cyrus insists that Nick accept the check and ticket, and he does, calling Cyrus a good buddy. Nick then eventually drives out of Las Vegas to accomplish his ambition. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Turn on notifications to stay updated, and thanks for your support.